Hello and welcome to another webinar about Lensbaby lenses in association with Wex Photo Video. I'm Angela Nicholson and I'm the founder of SheClicks and the co-founder of Camera Jabber, which is a website for photographers with news, reviews, tips and techniques. I'm joined today by my good friend Robert Pugh, who is a fantastic photographer. Hi Rob, how are you?
Hello Angela, it's good to be back again and doing another webinar.
Good to see you. It's nice to see we've got matching backgrounds.
Yes, I thought I'd go for a bit of purple today to be in line with yourself. So
fantastic. What a great move. So today we are explaining the Lensbaby range, the range of lenses and the range of effects that you can create. Now, I think a lot of people get a little bit confused about Lensbaby lenses because there are so many, there's all sorts of different mounts, there's different mounting systems, and there's also a huge range of different names. So we're going to break it down and we're going to start off talking about the effects that you can get with Lensbaby lenses. And put simply, there are 4 effects that you get with Lensbaby lenses, whichever one you use. So the first thing to think about is what sort of effect you want to create. Now, if you look at the Lensbaby website, you'll see these effects named. So I'm just going to share my screen so I can show you how these effects look. So what we're looking at now is the effect that Lensbaby called Sweet. And if you see there, you can see that I have positioned what we call the sweet spot over the rose, the red rose, sort of in the middle of the frame there, or close to the middle of the frame. And everything around it is kind of soft and blurry, and you've almost got like a kind of a bit of sense of movement. It's sort of so that's sweet. Now let's look at edge, and you can see here exactly the same setup, but there's more of a slice of focus. So the rose is in focus, and then some of the white flower beneath is in focus. So we've got kind of like a line of focus, and this is the edge effect. Now, obviously, the distance between various objects still comes into play. You know, there's still the effect of depth of field, but the general principle here is that we're getting a slice of sharp focus, and everything either side of that slice is soft. The third effect is velvet, and you can see here that we've got a really kind of soft, dreamy effect. And it's not out of focus. That rose is actually in focus, but the effect that we get is a kind of diffused glow, and it's a really kind of romantic feel that a lot of people like. And then the final effect is called swirl, but Rob and I sometimes call it twist, and we'll explain why we call it twist later. But if you look at the edges, so we've got the sharp rose again, and around the edges, it's not quite as dramatic an effect, but you can see there's kind of like a swirl or a twisted effect, almost like the outer elements of the image have moved slightly. So you get this kind of rotational feel around the center point focus. So those are the effects. Now I'm just going to show you some other scenes that I photographed using the effects. So I'll just switch to these images, just bear with me. So this is the velvet effect, and as you can see, I've applied a black and white conversion just to get kind of like slightly, I was going for spooky, but actually it's still sort of romantic because the clouds, it's quite bright, so it doesn't look stormy and moody particularly, but you've got quite an interesting kind of eerie look, I guess. So that's the velvet. This is with the twist. So we've got the twist effect, and you can just see it sort of starting to appear over in the corners. This was actually shot in very, very low light, so the image is a little bit noisy, but you can see you get quite, it does kind of put more emphasis on the subject in the center of the frame. This is another shot with the twist effect, and I really like the way it kind of pushes you through the frame. So, you know, obviously you've got the linear elements of the trees, those trunks, that kind of set up a nice composition. But the swirl above the top, it kind of emphasizes and pulls you into the subject at the bottom. So this is, again, relatively late in the afternoon. You know how it's dark by about 3:30 at the moment. This is quite late in the afternoon, and I just like the kind of like the soft edges that I got using the twist effect here. Here we're getting a little bit of it's kind of a combination of a soft edge and also a little bit of swirl, so it's combining two effects, and we'll talk about how you create that later. This one is a sweet sort of center focus with the blur around the outside. And I think it just works really well to kind of, again, it's almost like a zoom effect, isn't it? You kind of feel like you're being pulled into the image until the main part of that landscape. It's another one, just again, doing a similar sort of thing, but helping get some separation between the various elements of the image. And it's a bit more interesting than just doing it through depth of field, because you get kind of more attractive bokeh in the background. Same scene, just in landscape orientation and just a little bit closer, so that first branch has a bit more impact, and it just, you know, it's in the sunshine, and you just create a really nice kind of autumnal feel with the out of focus areas and a little bit of blur in the background. Similar sort of thing here, but the area of focus is just off center. So you can see I've got the blur, but you can also see how shallow the depth of field is here. So the front of the tree is actually shot, but it quickly falls away around the edges. And you can play with that in exactly the same way as you would with a normal lens. You know, if you had a slightly narrower aperture, you could extend the depth of field and get more of that tree in focus and still have blur in the background. And this is the velvet effect. And I just really like the kind of like Dingley Dell effect, you know, the fairy Dell kind of effect that you get when everything's diffuse and soft and glowing, just to create a kind of magical feel. And similarly, I've done a similar thing here. So again, you see how the highlights there just kind of nice and diffuse, so you get a kind of glow to them. And then out in the landscape, and here, sometimes when we use tilt and shift lens, you use them to create kind of a miniature effect. And we've almost got that miniature effect here through using a slice of focus. It feels a little bit like we could be looking at a model. And similar here. I think I've gone for a diagonal focus there. So sort of slice going across this way. So you can move the your slice around to however you want to position it. Okay, so that's probably enough of those images for now. Rob, would you like to show some of yours? Because whereas I kind of have fun with the Lensbaby lenses, Rob actually also uses them for his professional work.
Yeah, so I will share my screen with you. And like Angela just said, I predominantly use them for my wedding photography, and especially when I'm doing engagement shoots as well. I like to use it to add that bit of something special in, to keep me ahead of the game as well, and also to bring down my editing time, so I could spend, you know, more time doing the things that I love with my wife, taking the dog a walk, and less time staring at the screen. So it blows couples' minds when you just turn around to them and you show them the back of the camera, and they can see the kind of creative effects that you had in your mind. They can actually see it on the back of the camera. To try and explain to them what you're going to do to an image, it can kind of puzzle them, and they give you a bit of a funny look. But if you show them the back of the camera, they see it straight away. It's, oh my God, wow, I'm so excited. I can't wait to get the images. And especially when you're at weddings and you do a picture with the bride and groom, and then you just show them the back of the camera, and they're rushing around to all their guests, saying that they've seen the image. It looks amazing. So really gets me excited when that happens. So let's just share my screen. I'm on two screens here, so let me just pick which one we're going to share. That screen. And there we go, we're on this one over here. Okay, so let's get the first one up. Now, what all I did is I had the new Spark 2.0 delivered the other day. So me and Angela both got there. We've both been having to play around. Only had a very short time with it, but I wanted to show you the effect that it can create as well. So just did a couple of pictures around the house. The main thing I want to show you from the effects of these lenses is what it does, how it pushes light, how it moves it around as well. So that's what you've got to kind of take notice of these images. It's where the light's being pushed to, and this is the effect that the actual lens is doing. So none of it has been manipulated or moved around in a Photoshop or anything. It's all done in camera. So let's have a look at this first one. Santa Claus. Well, it is Christmas. It's December. So...
I hope that's your Christmas card picture.
Oh, do you know what? That could be a cracking Christmas card picture. Hey, you know, you've knocked the nail on the head. Go and buy yourself a sweet 50 and create loads of images, and next year sell them all for Christmas cards. So, brilliant idea. I'm like that movie Elf, you know, I could just jump on the tree and Santa's there. I get so excited for Christmas. So this was done with, obviously I was using the Spark 2.0. That's a part of the swap system, but we'll explain more about the swap system later on. Talking about the optic that goes in it, so it's an optic swap system. So this is the Sweet 50. And the Sweet 50, it has a really sharp center, but then it's got the effect coming round the outside. It has apertures, so it goes from, I've got it just here, it's f2.5, I believe, yes, so f2.5 all the way up to f22. Now this effect, all the ones that I'm going to show you, all the pictures, the effect is at its strongest, okay? So that I've got it set to f2.5, and that is on every lens I talk about. It's all set to the lowest aperture, which is f2.5. Now, if you want less of effect, obviously then you open up your aperture. But just for the demonstration purposes, I wanted to show you what the strongest effect is that you can get out of it.
Sorry, so Rob, can I just jump in? For less effect, you close down the aperture.
Sorry, closed out. Do you know what? Photography, everything's back to front, okay?
It totally is.
Even though the number's bigger, you're still going to close it down. So, yeah, good old photography, all back to front. So here in the center, really sharp. On the outside, it's pushing it out, okay? That's why it's called the Sweet 50. It's a 50mm. The 50 stands for the focal length, so it's a 50mm. And the Sweet stands for, it's got a sweet spot in the center that's lovely and sharp, and then it's pushing outwards. But what we can see, how it pushes out the light, the effect, we get this lovely like burst of light coming out. And when you visualize your shot that you're going to do, and you'll see by the next picture, it can totally change. So you could have this starburst of light coming out, or you could have this sort of smoothness, like this bokeh-licious, I call it, with the bokeh in the background, all smooth being sort of pushed out. So here we've got all the lights. These are the Christmas tree lights, and there you can see the lights being pushed out to all the corners. It looks lovely and smooth, really nice. But in the center, we've got a lovely Santa Claus, nice and sharp. So love the effect. And even if you took it out and you was walking around the streets and you're doing some shots, and if there was lights around, it doesn't matter if it's street lights, car lights, you can get these lovely effects from it. So this is Lily, my little dog, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. So this is the same lens. This is the Sweet 50, but do you notice now how Lily is perfectly sharp in the center, but see how smooth it is, how it's all being pushed outwards. Now there's no difference in the shots that I've done, apart from the previous shot had lights in it, and this has no lights in it. So you can see where if you visualize the shot that you want, how with the same effect, you can actually get different effects, if that makes sense, Okay. And again, one of Lily, I love the colors that we get from Lensbaby lenses. So one thing to note is that all manufacturers, people love their lenses for a reason, and they always say it's because of the colors that they're getting out of the lenses. And this is because every manufacturer puts different coatings on the front of the lens, and that coating does change the colors. It actually affects white balance. So you may notice if you shoot with one manufacturer and that lens, and then you shoot the same settings with a similar sort of focal length on another camera, that the white balances may be completely different. And that's the reason why. It's because when the light travels in, the coatings they put on the front affect the color and it comes through. So every lens is different, and I just love the Lensbaby for its color representation when it comes through. Okay, and then so another one here, we can see again with the optic swap system, we're going to talk about that more. You can off center the focal point. So even though that the twist 50, sorry, the sweep 50 is in the center, that's the sweet spot, we can offset it to anywhere in the frame, and we will explain how that works. And I've offset it to be onto the angel, so then the rest of the frame is all out of focus. And again, it gives this other effect where we've got this kind of smoothness, but we're pushing the lights to a different direction as well. So you can lengthen, like down here on the left-hand side, you can see where the beads, they're round beads, but look at when it goes down, look how they go to an oval point being pushed out. And that's happening because we're offsetting the focus plane, so it's pushing everything out in a different direction. And we'll explain how that works when we go over the lenses. And again, this picture, I wanted to demonstrate the same thing again, where we're focusing on Lisa's hand. It's actually a ring that we're focusing on. We've slightly off-centered the focal plane, and then in the background, we've got these just battery-powered Christmas tree lights. I just threw up over a pole, and we can see how big they've gone and how oval that they're going and being pushed into the corner as well. But the lights that are around Lisa's arm, we just twisted some around. You can see how the nearer they are to the focal plane, how they're staying round. And again, just here, so you can see the closer they are to the center, how they stay round, but the more they get to the outer edges, how they're starting to go to an oval light source. And this, again, looking down at Lisa's arm, those are the Christmas trees that we wrapped around her arm. You know, they're just battery powered ones. You can pick them up anywhere. Taking a picture. Obviously, this was just a quick snap. We're actually not even using flash or anything. The light that is on Lisa is just a modeling lamp. So all I did is turn one of it's actually this light that's just behind my head, just there. I turned that on just to have the modeling lamp on. Lisa was sitting near it, and I just threw the Christmas tree lights up over a pole in the background, the ones wrapped around her arm, and we get this like starburst effect sort of throwing off all over the place. So, you know, if you had a bit of time, if you threw up a white background and you wanted to create a sort of a stunning magical image, you could actually create some wicked Christmas shots there as well. So definitely worth investing in. Again, a little portrait shot of Lisa, but we can see top and bottom. So the reason I did this is we decided to take the lights off her arm. So the bottom part is gone really smooth, nice and silky, but the top part, we've still got that burst of lights as well, being pushed all around her head as well. So, you know, the possibilities are endless for what you can create. Again there, Lisa's nice and sharp in the center. we've got the lights all coming around. So we decided to move outside and do a couple of test shots outside, see how the colours work outside and what it can do. So this is, again, we're still on the Sweet 50, and Lisa's in the centre. She's perfectly sharp, but look at that all around the edges, really sort of smooth, blurring out, being pushed out into the corners. But obviously look at all the trees in the background, and this is going to make sense in a minute. So the trees they're all static, they're there, they're going off in their different directions. No problem, really nice look. And again, just did a portrait version. Now, one thing to note as well is, even though it's sharp in the center and then it's you know, pushing outwards and all the edges are going this lovely smooth, look at the lines. The lines are staying perfectly straight as well. So we don't actually get any distortion on the edges. We're keeping nice straight lines as well. So that's good to know as well. And a nice black and white image just showing you how you can create some nice effects, just turning the image to black and white and using the Sweet 50. So this is a different optic. So this is the Twist 60. So I've got it just here. There we go, the Twist 60. Probably one of my favorite optics to use. I'll explain exactly what it'll do, and then I'll explain how you can utilize this in the optic swap system. So the twist, it's exactly what it says in the name. It gives this sort of this twist motion to it all around the outside. So we can see this like swirl going on all around the edges. Lily is perfectly sharp in the center, and then we've got this lovely swirl going on, all twisting around the edges. Now, one thing to note with this lens, there is a trick to using it. Now, if you use it against a plain background, if you've got like a white background or a grey background, it's just a brick house or something like that, you're not really going to see the effect, and it's not going to really do that much. So you need some sort of like color and some mess in the background. So bushes in the background that are, got flowers on them, they're flourishing, and the greens and the browns are all out. That's perfect, because we'll really see this motion all coming around. And I've got some examples of how I actually use this, because I use this for a lot of engagement shoots as well. So I did this where we made sure that it was all leaves all around Lily. There were different colors. So when we took a picture, you can see that swirl happening. Now, I do have to say as well that this is more for full frame or APS-C cameras. When it comes to micro four thirds, we don't actually recommend using this optic. The only reason being is because the way it crops in with a micro four thirds, you actually lose all the effect, because the effect is all around the edges. So we'll explain a little bit more on that in a moment, but just one thing to note, just in case you start rushing out and hitting that buy button. So
Rob, it's just to sort of re-emphasize something you've said about getting that swirl effect.
Yeah.
If you're the sort of photographer who likes to shoot in a studio and have plain backgrounds, then you won't see the twist or swirl effect. So you might see a little vignetting, but you won't see the twist or swirl. So as Rob says, you need to have something, a busier background. So if you've got a background which has got, maybe it's a faux scene, like, I've got a vinyl background which has got like graffiti on, so you'd get an effect then, but not with a plain white one.
And I use it an awful lot. It literally is one of my favorite optics to use, and I have found the best way to use it is to find a busy background. I always look for bushes that have got a lot of foliage in it, and they've got a lot of colors going on. so you can really get that swirl coming. But I've got some examples of bushes that it's winter and there's nothing on them, and I've got some examples of we've got bushes with loads of colour, and you'll be able to see the difference of what goes on. So let's go to the next image. So this is obviously the twigs in the background. They've not got many leaves on, but they've got some. Now there's a couple of things to note with this. Now again, so this lens, it does start, if I remember rightly, at 2.5. Yes, it does. So it's an f2.5 to an f22. Lisa is purpley sharp. This is shot at 2.5. She's really sharp in the center. But then we've got that lovely twisting going on in the background. But this, it blows my mind how it does it. Look at the railings. That post is perfectly straight going across. Look at the railings down the sides. All the slats are perfectly straight. There's no distortion going on there, if I'm saying that word right. But you can actually see behind the railings, you can see the twist going on. So that's water that's there, and the reflection of the trees, and it looks like the whole branches have sort of merged round and twisted into each other. But in fact, when I was standing there, just behind Lisa's head, I could see blue sky because there was a little clearing there. But the way the twist works, it's actually merged it all around. And we've got this lovely swirl going all around the image that's working really well. So I love it for that. But again, like I say, foliage in the background. It's busy foliage, so there's stuff to work there. Because of the twigs, you can see them. It's created that swirl effect. Now, for this one, I opened it up to f4. So Lisa's a lot more sharper. You can tell by looking at the jacket, because she's now sharp all the way down. And we still got that lovely effect swirling around. The railings are still straight as well, but we've got that lovely effect coming on. So beautiful. And again, I decided to take one standing back with Lisa with nothing around her head, but then we've got some busy parts left and right, just so you can kind of see the effect and what it's doing. So we can see on the right hand side, a swirl is starting to come around, but the building behind her, because there's not much going on, there's no really effect that you can see. And the same when it comes around. So we can actually tell that we do need a background that's got a lot going on, that's all around and not breaks in it, just to see that effect happening. This one is the edge. So this would be the edge 35, this was. So this is the edge 35. One of their latest additions to the optic swap as well. And like Angela was saying before, so the edge, again, it says it in its name, it's sharp from edge to edge. It has a focal plane that goes all the way across. You can move that plane all around the image, wherever you like, just by twisting the optic around, but it's sharp all the way across. Now, the width of that sharpness, again, it does depend on what aperture you've set it to. So this does go from, because I know this doesn't start from 2.5, this goes from f3.5 to f22. Okay, so obviously, again, this was shot at f3.5, so I've got a really thin slice of focus plane going across. If you open it up to like, f5.6, then you'll get a wider slice of focal plane going across. And the couple, this is that very much that scenario how people create that Toy Story look when there's a lot of cars there. So their heads are perfectly sharp coming across. It's basically the focus plane on the left hand side where the yellow bush is, and it's going not straight, it's a slight diagonal going through their head, and then it comes and finishes on the right hand side just above the sand dune where the tree line starts as well. So it's a little slice going a slight diagonal line. Cool. And one of my favorite shots for an engagement shoot, I always tell the couple, you know, don't dress up, you know, just come in what you wear, make it real. An engagement shoot should be real. It's about the couple, and it isn't about, you know, putting your best suit on. That's for the wedding, okay? We want to have a bit of fun with the engagement shoot. And then with this, she's perfectly sharp. So we shot this at obviously its lowest aperture, 2.5, because this is the twist 60 for this one. So 60 because it's a 60mm. And we got that lovely swirl. Now look at the bushes, look at those browns, look at the yellows and greens, how they're swirling around and mixing into each other. So a beautiful shot. And when I showed them the back of this, they were kind of looking behind them going, you know, whoa, okay, you know, a bit of magic going on there. So then the next one, obviously, I added a person in. So when you add a person in, you want to open up that focus because you want them both to be in focus. So this was shot to f4. I've opened it up from 2.5 to f4 because I want them both to be sharp. But look, now they're both sharp, but we've got that lovely swirl going behind them as well. So we've still got that lovely effect going on behind them. Really nice to use. So this shot we actually did for Wex on a Lensbaby street walk. So you'll have to keep your eyes out for them next year. Obviously, when things get back to a normality, we'll start to do street walks again with Wex. So make sure you do keep an eye out for Lensbaby workshops coming your way. So this again, look out for sort of busy and strange backdrops, and there's an abundance of them all around. I mean, this is actually a billboard. So we're down the alleyway at the side of Wex in London. There's a billboard there. So I used the billboard to be a background, and because of what Alex was wearing and the hair, sort of all the colours just matched in and worked with it as well. So a nice shot. Now she's standing. She's probably about 2 foot away from the background. It is the twist 60, so you can actually just see. And because it's a flat background with, even though it looks busy, there's not much going on. And that's why I say foliage is the best one to use. If you want that really nice twist to come out and you want to see that amazing effect, it's foliage, bushes and flowers and everything like that. If you've got a lot of that behind, then you're going to see that effect come out. So this is obviously it's a billboard, so it's paper that's behind. Now you can slightly see the effect if you sort of look at the background, and especially on the bottom right hand side, you can just start to see that swirl sort of coming around. But again, you don't need to just use it just for that. I mean, what it does do is it puts the background that slight out of focus. Then Alex comes, you know, nice and sharp in, and it just creates that lovely sort of, you know, moody shot as well. So, and if you did see where we shot it, it is nothing special there, but we created an image out of nothing. Okay, that's the main thing to take away. So that is my little overview of sample images. I'm just going to stop my screen and flick back over to Angela. So we've covered quite a lot of effects there on how they can be used and in different scenarios, whether you're landscape, portraits, whether you're street photography. You know, these effects all over. So do you just want to give a sort of a recap of how many effects there are?
Okay, sure. So there's a huge number of lenses, but there are basically 4 effects. So we're talking about sweet, which is the one with the center spot of focus, although you can move it around a bit, and we'll talk about that. So sweet with the spot of focus, we've got edge with the slice of focus, we've got velvet, which is the soft diffuse glow, And then the last one is the swirl or twist, which gives you that sort of central sharp area with the swirly bits around the outside. So that's the 4 effects. And when you're thinking about buying a Lensbaby lens, or maybe you've got a selection of them already and you're thinking about which one to use, that is what you need to consider. What sort of effect do I want? Now, Rob said he really likes the twist because of the swirl effect. I must admit, I really like that effect as well. But also with the just getting the Spark 2, that comes with a Sweet 50, and that's kind of reignited my love of the Sweet as well, because you get that center sharp area with the diffused glow and the sort of like, you saw the light effects that Rob was able to create. It's just a really fun lens to play with. So that's the effects. Let's start talking about the lenses. Now, Lensbaby started with this kind of thing. If I just get that, is that in focus? Yes. So it's as you can see, it's kind of like a bendy object lens, and it's got I think it's actually even a plastic lens in there, plastic element, and you focused by squeezing it or pushing it, and you could move the plane of focus around just by sort of angling it. You can see I'm sort of not just bending it straight like that. You can do this and stretch it. So that was really fun to play with. And from that, Lensbaby has evolved into having a huge array of lenses. Now, one of the issues with this is, you know, you take a shot and you think, oh, well, that's okay, but I want to do something very similar. And you can never quite reproduce it. So they produced one which had, I think it was called the Control Freak, which had 3 sort of metal prongs, and you could tighten it up and keep it locked in position. But that has evolved into what we call the Composer Pro. And the Composer Pro is basically a kind of housing. If I just take this lens out, hang on, there we go. So the Composer Pro is basically a kind of housing. You see there's no lens in there, there's no glass. And you can twist it around and it will actually stay in position, and you can lock it in position as well, which is really handy. I haven't locked it there, but you can lock it in position, and so it won't move about. And that accepts these interchangeable optics or optic swaps. So this one is, I think this is, yes, this is a Sweet 50. So if I just drop that in there and twist it, and it clicks in, and now it's fixed. So I can now use the Sweet 50 in the Composer Pro, but I can swap to an Edge 50. So, sorry, an Edge 35, which I think is this one. Yes, so you can see the Edge 35 is quite a hefty optic, but it fits into the same barrel as I've just put the Sweet 50 in. So when we're talking about, with the optic swaps, they've got helpful names like Edge, Sweet, and Twist, which tell you what their effects are. And the number is the focal length. So this is an Edge 35, so it's a 35mm lens, and it creates the edge effect. This one that I just put in the Composer Pro is, so Sweet 50, so it's a 50mm lens, and it's got the sweet spot. Lensbaby also makes a range of perhaps more traditional lenses, or standalone lenses, as we call them. So for example, the Velvet, this is the Velvet 56. Put it in front of my face. I can't see you, but hopefully it'll focus. There we go. So as you can see, this is a much more traditional looking lens. You focus it as you would. That we should add the all manual focus lenses. So you focus it, and you can see this has actually got huge focus throw. So you can focus quite precisely, and you can actually focus quite close as well. There's quite close macro focusing on this. And there's also, on all of the lenses, there's an aperture ring, and you turn the aperture ring to adjust the aperture. And as Rob was saying, the wider the aperture, so the smaller the number, the greater the effect you get. So actually with the Velvet, by the time you've gone to what, f8, certainly by f11 and f16, the velvety effect has gone, and you've just got a sharp lens. So that's really interesting. Now, I think one of the issues is that the optic swaps are quite straightforward in terms of their name. I was saying there's Sweet, Twist, Edge, so you know the effect that you're going to get. They don't do an optic swap velvet yet. Hopefully, maybe they will. Maybe there's a technical reason why they haven't done that. But with the standalone lenses, they tend to be a little bit more cryptic. I think, you know, Velvet's okay. Velvet 56, Velvet 85, they're straightforward. But then we've got the Burnside 35, which is one of my favorites. I haven't actually got it on my desk right now. That's actually a twist effect. I don't know why they decided to go for Burnside, but they did.
I'm going to jump in there and just have a quick talk about obviously the optic swap system. So one thing to note, so there's two optic swaps basically when it comes to it. So like Andrew was saying, there's the optic swap V2 2.0, I believe it is, what you can lock into place. Now, the second one is obviously the brand new one, which is the Spark. So this is the Spark 2.0. And again, this is an optic swap, but it's a reiteration of, you know, the original version where I believe how we invented it was with a vacuum cleaner hose when he Frankensteined something together. So that's how it kind of started. And it's always been a little bit rough around the edges, and this new Spark 2.0, it's a lot more polished, a lot more smoother, and it's something that if you're a beginner, this is definitely one to go for. Now, they are all manual lenses, but the one thing you've got to understand is this does come preload with the Sweet 50 here in the UK. But you only ever buy the optic swap system once. So they make it for every manufacturer of cameras. So Olympus, Panasonic, Fuji, even Pentax, Canon, Nikon, Sony. So they make it for all them. So you would buy this for your fit of camera, but then you would build up on your optics. So then you would you don't need to buy this again. You would then just buy the extra optics you want. So that way, if you ever do change camera system, which we do, you know, from time to time, then all you would have to do is you would just have to buy the optic swap and not the lenses. So obviously these lenses go in every optic swap. And I think that's the best part about it, is you can actually invest in all your optics, and if you ever change the system, you don't need to replace everything, you just replace the one aspect. I did see some questions come up as well about how you focus with this. Well, the way you focus with this one, once it's on your camera and you're holding your camera, you got your trigger button there, I tend to, because this ring protrudes all the way around, so you can see it there, how it protrudes out, and it's actually meant for you to hold with two hands or even just two fingers, because of the way it sits. It's got a little ledge coming around, and this ledge sort of arcs out, so your fingers actually fit in nice and comfy. And when you've got two fingers there, you can see there that I can move the bellows in and out, and that is how you focus. You use the bellows to focus. And to change the plane of focus, you then just move your fingers left or right to change your plane of focus. So it's a great way of focusing. My advice when using these is move towards the subject so you are sort of in focus, and then fine tune it with the bellows. Don't think of this as I'm going to stand, you know, 5 meters back and I'll focus using this. Get your focus by moving towards it and then fine tune it with this. Again, I'll say one thing you should switch on your camera is peaking. Okay, the term peaking on, it puts a highlight around anything that's in focus when using manual lenses. So if you walk towards your subject and you're looking through your camera, and then you start to see all this white haze, or it could be yellow or red, it depends what color you set it to, white haze come around everything, that means whatever's in that sort of haze is in focus. And then you can fine tune it then by moving the bellows, and you'll see that color haze move over to the subject you want in focus. When it's there, you just keep hold of it and you press your shutter button. It's slightly different with obviously this optic swap, because this, how you move it is, because it's got a lock on it, you actually move the top section around. So that's changing your plane of view, okay? So where you want it to be, the focus point to be. But when it comes to actually focusing it, so this is, say you've got the, what have I got it? So I've got this, the sweet 50 in it. So instead of having my sweet spot in the center, say I wanted it off to the left-hand side, then I would move it off axis just like that, like a tilt shift lens. A lot of people refer to this as sort of a mini tilt shift lens. So I've moved it off axis. So now my center point has gone off axis. Now to focus it, this actually has a focus ring. So I'm going to hold it there. Hopefully it's in focus. And you can see the actual lens, the optic part, going in and out. So I'm using the focus ring. The advantages with this one is when I set my focus with the focus ring, I can let go. And as long as I stay in that same position, I can just keep snapping and snapping and snapping and take pictures. With this one, because it uses bellows, you have to hold it to keep the focus and take the picture. If you let go of the bellows, then it's out of focus. Then you'll need to hold the bellows again to put it back in focus. So I just think that's important to know.
Yeah, that's really useful information, actually. And Robert, can I just jump in with a question from Anne? Or
Yeah.
I think you've already made the point clear, but she was saying she likes to shoot with her camera on a tripod. So she was saying, you know, would the Spark 2.0 be a good choice, or would she be better off with the Composer Pro? And I think if you're using a tripod, and you know, she said hasn't got great eyesight, so focusing is an issue. I think the Composer Pro would be a better choice for her, because obviously you can fix the position, whereas you actually have to hold the lens, don't you, with the Spark.
And how I would put these two into their own little criteria is this one is this is for, like, say, like Anja said, your eyesight's not brilliant, you use it on a tripod a lot, then this one, the Composer Pro 2, it is the 2, isn't it, Anja?
Yeah, it is the 2, yeah.
Yeah, so the Composer Pro 2, because you can lock everything in and you're all good to go. Then the Spark, now I think the name says it all. It's a run and gun, you know, it's a Spark. So this is for those creative people that are, you know, bouncing around everywhere, maybe a bit of street photography, and, you know, you get up to something close, you just pull the bellows in to get your focus, you snap the shot and you're off somewhere else. So, you know, it's putting a bit of spark into your images. So this is for the run and gun, and this one's for the, you know, slow down and take care. So that's the best way I could probably describe both of them.
Yeah, if you want some fun and you want to really kind of just unwind and relax, then I think you won't go far on with the Spark, you know. But if you want to start using a tripod and slow things down a little bit, then maybe the Composer Pro or one of the sort of standard standalone lenses is the way to go. But you can get the same effects with either of them.
And they're always adding optics into the range. So that's the great thing about it. You know, if you buy the optic swap, like I say, you only buy that once, and then you can just keep adding and adding and adding. Let's face it, we always invest in glass, don't we? We always say that, and their optics, the glass are just they're an amazing quality. They may be small, but they're definitely not on quality. They're very high quality lenses, and their apertures are always really nice apertures as well. Do take notes though. I know obviously they do make all of these both sections for micro four thirds, and I think we'll just, before we talk about the actual other lenses, I just want to talk about one more system before I mention about micro four thirds. So if you're going to use the Twist 60, because we do talk about this a lot, there's one other element that you could add in. So this can be used in the optic swap system, but maybe you don't want the optic swap. Maybe you just want this and you want to use this effect only. Well, you can actually buy a barrel for the Twist 60. Now the barrel is exactly what it says, so let me just demonstrate here. And how you pop these in, there's two little rings on all the lenses. So on the optic swap system as well, there's two little rings there, and you see the ring that's got a hole in it. Then when you look at your optic, there's a line. Just line it up, pop it in, and give it a little twist to the left. So to take it out, you just move the aperture blade. The aperture will move it all the way, and then it just goes that extra bit more, and it unlocks, and then it pulls out. So always remember the little white line there. Hopefully you can see that.
There it is. Yeah.
And then there, line the two up, it just pops straight in, and then twist it around, and you'll feel it lock in. Once it's locked in, then you can move your aperture wherever you want it to. Okay. Now, once
basically that kind of turns that into a 60mm Burnside.
Yeah, basically, yeah, it's like a 60mm Burnside, really. You know, it's this now is just an actual lens. You can't move the focus point. It's locked into the center, and you focus. It has a focus ring around here, so you can see the lens coming in and out. So that's how you focus. Now you would just put this straight on your camera and use it like a normal lens, but just with manual focusing. So if you love this effect and that's what you want to go for, then you could have that option as well. Now, obviously, I know I talk about micro four thirds a lot. All the lenses do work on micro four thirds. It's just that we say we don't recommend the Twist 60 on a micro four thirds because of the way the sensor is smaller. So you lose all the effect that's around the edges. Now there is some lenses that are specifically made for micro four thirds. So now we're going to actually go on to talking about dedicated lenses. Angela will, because she's got the trio. Angela, show you the trio.
So the issue with micro four thirds, as Rob was explaining, is because the sensor is smaller, effectively it crops out the outer edge, so you don't see the swirl, and that's why it's not recommended. But Lensbaby has a solution, and it's the trio. Now the trio, this comes in a range of mounts for crop sensor cameras, and specifically micro four thirds. And it's you kind of get, I was going to say double bubble, you get triple bubble with this one, because as the name trio might suggest, you get three lenses, three optics in one. You can just see there. So you get the velvet, you get the sweet, and you get, if I go around the other way, you get the twist. So the only one you're not getting is the edge. And you just rotate that disc there to swap between lenses or between effects. And actually, although it's supposed to, you just go rotate round and it clicks into the next one, you can also shoot in between them for some really funky effects if you want. So it's, you know, there's no rules with Lensbaby, you just have fun and you experiment. But
it's a great
essentially it's got three.
It's a great way of doing a double exposure as well. So I have done that myself, and it's you can create double exposures. One thing to note with that lens, because you were just saying it's for micro four thirds and APS-C. So that is correct, and I know someone's asked the question reference to Sony. So that lens, it is for their APS-C cameras like the A60 600 and you know so forth. But you can actually use it on the full frame Sony cameras, because remember that Sony only has one mount. It's an E-mount system. But there is a you know a disclaimer there. If you put it on your full frame camera, you will have all black edges. You need to go into menu and switch on APS-C mode. So that's Super 35 they call it in the menu, and if you turn on your full frame camera, your Sony full frame camera, if you turn on Super 35 mode, it crops into the sensor and turns it into an APS-C, and then the trio will work as normal. So just take note though that it isn't actually made for the Sony full frame cameras. That's just a little bit of a hack. If you do want to use it, it is actually meant for the APS-C.
That's a good point. And we actually have a question from someone with a Canon EOS R5, and she was saying that she was seeing exactly what you're saying with the dark corners, but it's fine if she swaps to 35mm format. So, sorry, not 35mm, to APS-C format.
APS-C.
So with the trio, I'm just gripping the mount. You've got a focus ring, and you just rotate that to focus. You don't actually set the aperture with that. But say you've got 3 effects in one, so that's a nice standalone lens. And a few questions were coming in while I was talking about this, saying, do I need anything else with the trio? No, you don't. This is a standalone lens. It just happens to have 3 effects.
And one thing to note on that, Angela, it's a bit of a bonus. I believe it does have a filter thread on that lens as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, it does. So it goes. You put it over there's like a. Just see it catches the light. There we go. There's an outer ring there. You would mount the filter on there, and it would apply the filter across all 3 of your lenses. So then, or all 3 of your effects. So then you just rotate round to the one you want. So that's very handy. There is another type of lens that you can get for micro four thirds and smaller format sensor cameras, and that is the Sol. Now this is the Sol 45. There's also a Sol, I think it's 22. And this has a sweet spot of focus. It has a little bit of wiggle. You know, you can tilt it. It's not quite as movable as the optic swap system, but sorry, there we go. You can just kind of twist it a little bit. And then if you look inside, you see these plastic, I always think of them as bunny ears, but there's these little plastic bokeh wands. And that introduces a little bit of swirl. I don't know if anyone's ever experimented with cutting out, you know, with discs of card, and you cut out, say, a heart shape or a star shape, and then you put that over your lens, and the bokeh balls in the background, instead of being normal circles, they have stars or heart shapes or whatever. It's kind of what you're getting with this. So you can pull this in, so you would focus. So this is it's a standalone lens, but it's got quite a range of effects because as I say, you've got a little bit of tilt, you've got the sweet spot of focus, and you've got the bokeh wandy things.
So it's almost like you're shooting through some branches, you know, and when you try and get that effect, you're pulling a branch down to like shoot through to. Well, you don't need the branches now. You can just move those blades around.
Yeah. That's right. So I think we've covered everything, but someone is just asking about they have got the Composer Pro in Canon fit, but they've got a Sony camera with a Metabones adapter, and they're saying, will that affect the effect at all? And actually, no, it shouldn't, because with an SLR, the camera is a bit deeper, and you've got sort of a bigger distance between the sensor and the lens. When you take the mirror out of a camera and have a mirrorless camera, that lens mount is a bit closer to the sensor. So basically your Metabones is just pushing the lens further away, so you get the effect that you need with your lens. So you shouldn't see any difference. It should work just fine, and particularly as it's a manual focus lens anyway, you should be good to go.
So I'm just going to touch some base on a couple of lenses, Angela. So 3 lenses I just want to quickly cover and talk about. So these are standalone lenses as well, and we have the Burnside. So the Burnside, this is the 35, is probably one of my favorites. So I like obviously the Twist 60 and the Burnside. They're in the same family. Okay.
Yeah.
Now the Burnside, it has 2 aperture blades. So obviously manual focus as well. It's got a focus ring. Then you have your aperture ring, and that's your aperture ring for you know, setting your depth of field. but then it has a secondary aperture ring, and that's this gold button here. So we've all done it. We put our images into Photoshop or Lightroom or Capture One, and then we'll add a vignette, around it. Well, this does it in camera. So if we put it all the way over to the left, then we have a really strong vignette, and then all the way over to the right, then it doesn't have any vignette. So it has the square box there, means that there's no effect, and then it comes down and you see a circle in a square box, and that's more of an effect as you bring it around. And you
I
can
can
get
show
this
that effect if you want, Rob. I've actually got an image with that vignette effect if you want me to show
so
it.
let's pop that image up,
Just do
and
that quickly.
I'll carry on talking as that comes up. So say you're doing a portrait shot and you want to have that vignette come in, and you want to show the customer straight away. Well, then you can actually put that vignette on in camera, so you can see the portrait shot. You can show the customer what it looks like straight away. Maybe you're in a really bright area, and you can actually see on your frame that there's lights in the corners, and the corners are really bright, and you're thinking, oh, I really want to dull that down a bit. What you can do with this lens, you can actually put the vignette on in camera and sort of, bring the edges back down to a better exposure as well. So there's lots of uses for it, and I do seriously love this, and I do use it a lot in the weddings as well. So that's the Burnside 35. Now, in the Velvet range, so I have got the Velvet 28. That's one of their latest lenses to the edition. And then I've got the Velvet 56. So the Velvet 28 is a 2.5 aperture, and the Velvet 56 is an f1.6 aperture. They're both macro compatible. So obviously the way you do the macro is you just turn the focus ring all the way round, and then you will see there the macro. And then once the macro's there, away you go. Now, I know all of you are going to ask, because you've all been on Lensbaby website, you've seen those pictures where you've got the flower where it's beautiful in the center, and you've got this lovely glow going across all the flower. It looks amazing. How did they do that? Well, it's the Velvet. This is probably a winner with landscape, with flower, with macro photographers. It's an absolute winner, and that is the way that they take the picture of those flowers, where they're moving this to its macro capability, and then they've got that lovely velvet effect. There is a way to use it as well, the lens. So I know that there's been a couple of photographers what I've loaned them, they've put it on, and they've come back and gone, I can't get my head around it, I can't get it to work, all my images are blurry, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And then I look at their images, and I basically say to them, well, you've done everything right. The image is in focus, it's sharp, but you've got the effect on its strongest, which is going all the way across the frame. And I mean, Angela, I believe you did one with, was it the church? You used the velvet?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so use the velvet on that. So, it was all the way across. So that's what you need to figure out. How strong do you want that effect? Obviously, at its lowest, say if you're shooting at like this, f1.6, the effect is going to be really strong across the board. So you might take the picture and look at it on your camera. And this is why I say never ever delete an image on your camera. Wait until you get back, look at it on your computer. Because you might look at it on your back of your screen on the camera and think, oh, that's out of focus, deleted it. And it may have been the perfect shot. It's just that you've got it on its strongest effect. So if you take it up to like f5.6, then the effect is going to be a lot more duller, a lot beautiful. In fact, I'm going to show you a lens in a minute that I took, I'm going to show you a picture in a minute that I took with the 28mm. I shot it at f4. So the effect is across the board, but the subject is really sharp. And this is a beautiful lens. It's so well built. I mean, it feels like a really heavy lens. Another thing to note is the manual lenses, so there's no motors inside these. So because they're so heavy, that's all glass. A lot of time and effort and money has gone into putting the best into these, and they are built to last as well. So I do like how they did the 28, where they did it the two-tone and made the collar the silver as well. It just makes it look more that premium lens. So, and again,
I've got a question from someone who's got a full-frame Nikon camera, and she's asking whether she should get the Velvet 85 or the Velvet 56. And that's a question I see asked a lot, actually.
yeah,
And I think, as you were explaining, it's a question of thinking about what you want to photograph.
yeah.
So if you're going to do a lot of portraits, maybe head and shoulder portraits or 3/4 length or something like that, perhaps 85mm is probably the better option for you, because that's your classic kind of portrait lens. But if you want to do more environmental stuff, then perhaps you want a 56, because that'll allow you to get more background in. If you weren't talking about having a full frame camera, but you had APS-C, then probably the 56 is a better bet, because obviously you've got the focal length multiplication factor, which takes it more up towards 80, whereas the 85mm would be beyond 100. So that's getting quite a long lens. And similarly, you might want to consider the 28, because that's going to be taking it, well, it will no longer be a wide angle. It'd be more kind of more of a normal lens, standard lens. So yeah, think about it in exactly the same way as you would with any other focal length. You get the same effect, but just think about what you're going to be shooting when you're deciding the focal length.
And all the Velvet do have macro capability, but again, think of how close you want to be, what you want to do. I mean, if you're going to do a flower, will you be using a 28mm in its macro capability? If you want to get closer, the 56 would obviously work better closer as a flower shot, and an 85 would be even better closer as a flower shot. But what are you going to use it as a secondary sort of lens? So you may think to yourself, you've got that 85mm and you're doing your macro capability, but you predominantly shoot street photography. Well, then the 85mm is not going to be really the lens for you. It'll be the 28, because that's kind of a focal length you would use for street photography, and then you've got the macro as well. So I'll just show you, this is the 28. Again, the focus ring, if you twist it all the way around, then you can see just there, if that's in focus.
Oh yeah, there it is.
That's the macro capability of it. Cool. I'm just going to flick over now to show you an image that I took, and it was basically just in the garden. Lisa's sitting across from me at the table, and I was looking at the effect and how it could be used for me as a wedding photographer. Now, as a wedding photographer, I actually shoot 28mm for the majority of all my shots. So with 28 and an 85 are kind of my go-to lenses. As a documentary style, that 28 is beautiful for capturing everything we want. So I was really interested to see how I could utilize this into my workflow. And this is the image. So let me just flick over to this screen. I'm going to just share that screen.
While you do that sharing, Rob, there's a few people asking about how to use the Composer Pro and how to use the various lenses. We will be covering this in a future webinar, so watch out for the next video, because we will cover how to use the various different lenses in a bit more depth than we are doing today. Yeah. Sorry, Robert, back to you.
Okay, yeah, so this is the image. Now, nothing special with the image. It was just, there's nothing done to this. It was literally just turned black and white. That's it. So it was straight out of camera and just turned to black and white. Now look at the image. Lisa is perfectly sharp, even though she's got a slight glow to the skin. She's perfectly sharp. But look at this, especially when you look down the left-hand side at the flowers there in the bush. You can actually see the glow effect from the velvet on there. And then the background goes this lovely sort of velvet smooth effect coming all the way across the background. And I just think I can really see me as a wedding photographer using this with my clients, with a bride and groom, doing that shot, or even a landscape shot, you know, that scenery all in the background and having that lovely velvet look to the image. So a lot of uses. I know we talk about weddings and landscapes, but you know what? You can use all of these lenses for any scenario, whether it's macro, whether it's portraits, or you know, weddings, or whether it's landscapes as well. I personally like them because it gives my clients, my wedding clients, it gives them something extra. And when people see my images and they try and recreate that, or maybe they go into you know, Photoshop and they're trying to put that velvet look on and they can never get it. And it's because it's been shot in camera with the actual lens. I just love that fact of speeding up my workflow and not having to worry about creating that effect on the computer, and about it all being in camera as well. So that is the main part of it. So I just wanted to show you that. Looks really nice.
Yeah,
And
thanks for that. I think yeah, from your point of view as a professional, it's great for efficiency.
yeah,
And then for a lot of other people, you know, for hobbyists, or I know you take a lot of photographs for fun as well, it's just a really nice way of kind of getting in the zone. You know, you kind of put a Lensbaby lens on, and you know, you're manual focusing, you're setting the aperture, and then you just think about composition.
yeah, yeah.
And I
And
think particularly with the Spark at the moment, you know, it's a very affordable lens, because obviously you say we get the Sweet 50 in there, and I think it's 179. Um, and it's just a really good, fun lens to play with that can produce some fantastic effects.
I
Really
mean,
enjoyable.
we all love having those normal, you know, normal images, but it's even like me. Every day, I kind of want to better myself, or I kind of want to create a new look where people look and go, oh, you know, that's Rob's images. I can tell that without, you know, even you know, seeing who shot it. And that's what I love about the Lensbaby lineup, because everyone's different. You know, it's only your imagination that can push it to the limit. So everyone's different. I love taking these different optics out. I'm just thinking to myself today, you know, I want to create something different. How can I do this? And maybe I haven't got a model or a bride and groom, or you know, anyone around, and I think, well, okay, so let's go and do some flowers, and let's find some bluebells or something like that, and see what I can create. And I've seen some images that I say bluebells where people have captured the rays coming through the trees, and the bluebells are all there. And you just think, well, I could visualize that being on my wall in a frame. And
Mm.
when you create something like that, I think there's a real sense of achievement, because, and this is the where I'm getting to, photography can be frustrating, you know, and it can give you anxiety, and especially with now cameras take over. I mean, you know, auto lenses, the camera does this, it does that, and we just snap a button, we look at the picture, and some of us get like, so anxiety comes up at that. We're so frustrated because we know what we want to capture, but we don't know how, because there's so many functions going on within the camera. We tend to get a bit lost in this menu system. And for me, and I know Angela agrees with this as well, for me, Lensbaby's lenses, they slow you down, because they're manual lenses. You have to just step back and you've got to think about the image. You've got to do your focus. You've got to, you know, work in manual, and everything slows down. And it's just as though this weight just lifted off you. The anxiety goes, and then when you press that shutter button and you look at the image, like, where, okay, I've created that. You know what? I slowed down. I thought about it. I've got the image that I wanted. So definitely worth having a shot at that.
Okay, well, thanks very much for that. I've really enjoyed chatting with you, Rob, and I know everyone has learned a heck of a lot. So just before we go, I thought it's probably worth doing a quick recap of the things that you need to think about when you're considering a Lensbaby lens. So the first thing is to think about which of the 4 effects that you want to use. So it could be sweet, swirl / twist, velvet, or edge. And then think about what type of lens you want to use. So if you want to use a standalone lens, then that will take you down the route of the velvets and the burn sides and that kind of thing. Or even with the twist, you can get the barrel. But if you're interested in, just having a smaller kit, then go for the optic swap system, and you've got a choice now really between the Spark 2 and the Composer Pro 2. And all the various optics. Now in the UK, the Composer Pro 2 and the Spark 2 are generally sold with an optic in place, and with the Spark 2, that's the Sweet 50, and you can get various kits with the Composer Pro. So have a look at the various options. So think through what you want, the effects you want to create. Think through the focal length that you're most likely to use, and then, just pop it on your camera and go for it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. The main thing is to have fun. That's what it's all about.
Definitely. Okay, so it's time for us to sign off, but it's been great chatting with you. I hope everybody enjoys having some fun with their Lensbaby lenses. Bye-bye.
Hey, see everyone. Bye.